Welcome to Whispered Women's Stories. She didn't find a mistress. She found a whole other family. One husband, two lives, and one woman who suddenly realized the math wasn't matching. Grab your tea and stay. This story flips hard.
01. The day Ethan Cole left was in March 2 years ago. I remember it clearly because Luna Cole had just turned 3 that day. She clung to her dad's leg and refused to let go, crying her eyes out. "Daddy, don't go. Luna will miss you so much." Ethan crouched down and pulled her into his arms, his voice catching a little. "Daddy doesn't want to leave Luna either. But Daddy has to go make money so I can buy you a big house and send you to the best preschool, okay? Then when will Daddy come back?" Luna wiped her tears with her tiny hands. 2 years. At most, 2 years. Ethan looked at me, his eyes full of apology and promise. "Iris Morgan, wait for me. I'll give you both a surprise." Back then, I believed him. I believed every single word he said. Ethan was a project manager in engineering. This time, it was a major company project in the southern U.S. I think Texas. They said if it went well, he'd get promoted and a raise. We needed the money. We needed a better place to live. We wanted better schools for Luna. Even though I hated the idea of him leaving, I still nodded yes, my eyes red. On the way to the airport, neither of us spoke. At the security checkpoint, Ethan suddenly turned around and pulled me into a hug. "Iris, these 2 years are going to be hard on you. I promise, when I come back, we'll buy a house, and the deed will only have your name on it." I smiled and pushed him away gently. "All right, enough with the cheesy stuff. Just work hard, take care of yourself, and check in with me every day." "I will." He pinched my cheek, then turned and walked into the security line. I stood there, watching his figure disappear into the crowd, feeling hollow inside. But I told myself that 2 years would fly by, and our life would only get better. If only I had known back then that sometimes when someone turns around, they're already stepping into a completely different world. 02. Life after Ethan left was actually pretty steady. Every night at exactly 10, his video call came in, never late, not once. The background was always the same, a plain white wall and a single bed. He said the project site was run like the military and everyone lived in shared dorms. "Were you tired today?" That was always the first thing I asked. "Exhausted," he'd say, rubbing his shoulders. "My back can barely straighten up. But thinking about you two gives me energy." Then he'd ask about Luna. "Where's my little sweetheart? Was she good today?" If Luna was still awake, I'd hand her the phone and the two of them would laugh and chat through the screen. If she was already asleep, I'd show him her sleeping face. "She's grown taller," he'd say softly, staring at the screen, his eyes so gentle they almost melted. "Yeah, her preschool teacher says she's been doing especially well lately," I'd reply with a smile. "That's because you've taught her so well." He'd pause for a moment. "Iris, I've been looking at some houses in good school districts. When I'm back, I'll take you to see them." "Okay." My heart felt warm. Aside from the video calls, his salary never stopped either. Every month, the money arrived right on time in my bank account, not a dollar missing. On holidays and special occasions, packages always showed up at our door. Birthday gifts for me, toys for Luna, health supplements for his mom, nothing ever forgotten. Even my mom said, "Iris, you really found a good man. He knows how to take care of people." I smiled and nodded back then, feeling proud inside. Yeah, Ethan was a good partner, a good father. Even though he wasn't physically around, he did everything he could. What was there for me to complain about? What I didn't know was that all those perfect proofs of love were carefully arranged illusions. 03. Before I knew it, it was already the 23rd month. That Saturday, the weather was perfect. Bright sunshine, not a cloud in the sky. On a whim, I decided to take Luna to the aquarium. "Luna, how about Mommy takes you to see the dolphins?" I crouched down and asked her. "Yes." Luna jumped with excitement. "Mommy, can dolphins swim?" "Of course they can. Dolphins are amazing. They can even dance," I said, pinching her chubby little cheek. "Then I want to learn how to dance, too." Luna said seriously. I laughed, helped her into a pretty dress, tied her hair into 2 little pigtails, and took her out. The aquarium was packed, mostly parents with kids. We waited in line for half an hour just to buy tickets. Luna was excited the whole time, constantly asking, "Mommy, where are the dolphins? Where are the dolphins?" "We'll get there soon. Don't rush," I said, holding her hand as we walked inside. The lighting inside the aquarium was a deep blue, and huge tanks were filled with all kinds of fish. Luna pressed her face against the glass, staring in awe. "Mommy, look. That fish is so big." "Yeah, that's a shark," I said, lifting my phone to take a picture for her. That was when my camera swept across the crowd in front of us, and I froze. Why did it look so much like Ethan? I rubbed my eyes, thinking I must be mistaken. But that dark blue outdoor jacket, that build, that posture, it was exactly like him. I held my breath and slowly zoomed in. The man was bent slightly forward, gently adjusting the collar of a little boy standing next to him. The gesture was painfully familiar. Every time Ethan dressed Luna, he did it the same way, patient and tender. My heart started pounding, and my phone almost slipped from my hand. Impossible. I had to be imagining things. Ethan was supposed to be in the South, on the project. There was no way he could be here. And he'd said he wouldn't be back for another month. This was the busiest phase of the project. I must have missed him so much that I was hallucinating. And yet my eyes couldn't stop following that figure. He took the little boy's hand, and the two of them stood in the front row by the dolphin show pool, waiting for the performance to start. The boy looked about 6 or 7, wearing a blue and white jacket, bouncing around adorably. The man leaned down, saying something to him. The boy tilted his head up and smiled brightly. My mind went blank. My hands and feet turned cold. "Mommy, what's wrong?" Luna tugged at my sleeve. I snapped back to reality and forced a smile. "Nothing. Mommy's just a little tired." "Then let's go home," Luna said thoughtfully. "Okay." I grabbed her hand and practically fought my way out of the crowd. When we stepped out of the aquarium, the sunlight was so bright it hurt my eyes. I stood at the entrance, taking several deep breaths before I finally calmed down a little. I must have been mistaken. I had to be? Ethan clearly said the project was overwhelming. How could he possibly be here? Unless he'd secretly come back. But then why wouldn't he tell me? 04. On the way home, I couldn't calm myself down. From her car seat, Luna said softly, "Mommy, we didn't get to see the dolphins." "Next time." "Mommy will take you again next time," I said, my hands trembling slightly on the steering wheel. "Okay." Luna was a little disappointed, but she nodded obediently. After we got home, I settled Luna in front of the TV with some cartoons and sat alone on the living room couch, staring into space. That back, that movement, that jacket. The more I thought about it, the more wrong it felt. I picked up my phone and opened my chat history with Ethan. Just that morning, he'd sent me a message. "Project inspection today. Might be really busy. We'll talk during the video call tonight." I checked the time. It was 3 in the afternoon. If he was really on site, he should have been in the middle of work right now. I hesitated, then called him anyway. The phone rang for a long time before he answered. "Hey, Iris?" Ethan sounded rushed. "Are you busy?" I tried hard to keep my voice normal. "Yeah, just got out of a meeting and heading to the site." "What's up? Everything okay?" "Nothing. I just missed you." I paused. "Luna wanted to go to the aquarium today, so I took her." "Really? Did my sweetheart have fun?" His tone was completely natural. "Yeah, she did. It was so crowded we could barely move," I said, testing him. "Well, yeah, it's the weekend. Of course it's packed." He chuckled. "When I'm back, I'll take you both somewhere even better." "Okay." I was gripping my phone so hard my palm was drenched in sweat. "All right, I've got to get back to work. We'll talk during the video call tonight." "Okay, go ahead." After I hung up, I collapsed onto the couch. His tone had been perfectly normal. No hesitation, no nervous, no slip-ups. If the man at the aquarium really was him, he should have sounded guilty or uneasy, but he didn't. Maybe I really was overthinking it. At 10 that night, Ethan's video call came in right on time. I answered. On the screen was the same familiar white wall and single bed. Ethan was wearing his work uniform from the project site, his hair a bit messy, looking genuinely exhausted. "How did the inspection go today?" I asked. "It was okay. The client nitpicked a few things, so we have to redo some work tomorrow." He rubbed his temples. "Such a hassle." "Make sure you get some rest," I said. "Yeah." He looked at me, then suddenly asked, "Were you a bit off today? When you called earlier, you sounded strange." My heart skipped a beat. "No, I was just a little tired. Taking Luna to the aquarium is definitely tiring." He smiled. "Next time, have your mom go with you." "Okay." I nodded. "Where's Luna? Asleep already?" "Yeah. She played too hard today." "That's good." Ethan paused, then said softly, "Iris, I'll be back in 1 more month. I've prepared a surprise for you. I'm sure you'll love it." "What kind of surprise?" I asked. "Can't say. If I tell you, it won't be a surprise anymore." He smiled mysteriously. I smiled back. "All right, I'll wait." After the call ended, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Maybe I really was just thinking too much. D's 8:33. But over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about that figure from behind. I started searching online for things like how to tell if your partner is cheating. All the results said things like never puts their phone down, irregular schedule, cold attitude toward their partner. But Ethan didn't fit any of that. He video called me on time every single night, was gentle and attentive, and his salary was transferred without fail. So I started doubting myself. Was I being overly sensitive? Still, that uneasy feeling was like a thorn stuck in my heart. No matter what I did, I couldn't pull it out. Finally, I decided to do something. I wasn't the type to secretly check my partner's phone or follow him around. I'm a designer. I believe in logic and evidence. Then I remembered Ethan's cloud storage account. It was a shared work backup account we both used. He usually uploaded engineering drawings there so he could access them anytime. I knew both the username and password. That night, after Luna fell asleep, I turned on my laptop and logged into Ethan's cloud drive. It was filled with engineering files, densely packed folders, all named by date. I clicked through them one by one. Inside were CAD drawings, construction plans, budget spreadsheets, nothing unusual. Just as I was about to give up, I noticed the recently deleted section. I clicked on it. There was one record from 4 months ago, a photo thumbnail that had been uploaded from another device and then quickly deleted. I downloaded the image and zoomed in. It was blurry, like a phone screenshot. The image showed a theme park admission ticket. In the notes section, it said, "Leo's birthday gift."
Leo.
I froze. Was there a child like that around Ethan? His nephew's name was Owen, not Leo. So who was Leo? I looked more closely at the other details in the image. The name of the theme park printed on the ticket was the most famous amusement park in the southern city where Ethan's project was located. My heart slowly sank. What exactly was going on? 06. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, my thoughts a complete mess. Who was Leo? Why would Ethan buy him a birthday gift? And why delete the photo? Early the next morning, I got up with dark circles under my eyes. After dropping Luna off at preschool, I went straight home and started rummaging through everything. I didn't know what I was looking for. I just felt there had to be some clue I'd missed. I dug out an old photo album from college. It was filled with pictures from when Ethan and I were still students, yellowed pages recording our younger days. As I flipped through it, I suddenly saw a class group photo. In the picture, Ethan was standing in the back row, next to a girl with a sweet smile. I recognized her immediately. Stella, Ethan's girlfriend from college. Ethan and I didn't officially get together until my second year of grad school. Before that, he and Stella had dated for 4 years. I never really knew why they broke up. He only said family reasons. It wouldn't work, and I didn't press him. I studied Stella's face in the photo. She looked delicate, with big eyes and a gentle smile. Suddenly, I remembered Stella was from the South. I couldn't recall the exact city, but it seemed to be the same one where Ethan's current project was. Could it be? I didn't dare think any further. I opened my laptop and logged into a social media platform I hadn't used in years. It still had records from our college days. I searched for Stella and found her profile. It hadn't been updated in a long time. The last post was from 8 years ago. I clicked through her photo albums. Most were everyday life shots and travel pictures. Nothing special. Just when I was about to give up, I found an old photo in a mutual classmate's album, dated 8 years ago. In the picture, Stella and Ethan were standing close together. She was wearing a white dress, smiling with pure happiness. Ethan had his arm around her shoulder, smiling too. Under the photo were several comments. Stella finally found her place. Congratulations. Ethan, make sure you treat her well. When are we drinking at the wedding? I stared at the comments, my heart racing faster and faster. 8 years ago? Back then, I was in my first year of grad school. Ethan had already started working. At that time, we weren't together yet. He should have still been dating Stella. But later, they broke up. Ethan said it was because of family issues, that Stella's parents didn't approve of him. Then who was Leo? Who exactly was Leo? A sudden thought struck me, and I quickly calculated the timing. 8 years ago. If Stella had been pregnant back then, the child would be about 6 or 7 years old now. 6 or 7. About the same age as that little boy at the aquarium. Could that child be Ethan's and Stella's? My hands began to shake, my mind in total chaos. No, if that were true, why would Ethan hide it from me? Why would he still choose to be with me back then? I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. I couldn't jump to conclusions. I needed proof. 07. Over the next few days, I went into full detective mode, searching for every piece of information I could find. I tracked down some of Stella's friends on social media. From their posts and old interactions, I slowly pieced things together. 8 years ago, Stella really had been pregnant. Her parents were fiercely against her being with Ethan. They pressured her to either terminate the pregnancy or marry someone else. In the end, Stella ran away from home and gave birth to the child on her own. She made up a story about her ex-husband passing away and raised the child alone. As for Ethan, it seemed he had never known the child existed. Not until 2 years ago, after Stella's parents passed away, did she finally reach out to him. 2 years ago, exactly when Ethan applied to transfer to the Southern Project. Everything lined up. Ethan hadn't gone south because of work necessity. He volunteered. He went there for Stella and for that child. The child's name was Leo. Leo was Ethan's son. I sat in front of my computer, tears streaming down my face. For the past 2 years, I thought Ethan was fighting for our future. I thought those nightly video calls were because he missed me and Luna. But in reality, he was making up for another life. During the day, he was with Stella and Leo. At night, he squeezed out time to deal with me. Those punctual video calls, the never-missing paychecks, the carefully chosen gifts, they were all just tools to maintain the image of a perfect partner. So what were Luna and I to him, really? I didn't confront Ethan right away. I knew that if I only questioned him over video or on the phone, he'd find 100 excuses to dodge the truth. I needed to ask him face to face. I needed to look him in the eye and hear the truth come out of his own mouth. Using delivery addresses saved in his cloud account, probably left behind when he bought things for Leo, I tracked down the exact city and the apartment complex. I booked a flight for the weekend. I left Luna with my parents, telling them I had an urgent business trip. So sudden? My mom asked, worried. Yeah, a major client? I have to handle it in person, I said, forcing a smile. Be careful on the way. Leave Luna with me, don't worry. Thanks, Mom. Saturday morning, I boarded a flight to the south. The entire 3-hour flight, I couldn't calm down. My mind kept replaying the upcoming confrontation. What would I say? How would I ask? How would he respond? 3 hours later, the plane landed. I took a cab straight to the apartment complex. It was an ordinary residential area, nice greenery, quiet surroundings. I didn't rush upstairs. Instead, I sat in a cafe by the entrance, watching the gates through the glass window. Minute by minute, time passed. I ordered 3 cups of coffee and didn't take a single sip. Finally, around noon, I saw them. Ethan was wearing that dark blue jacket. Stella was in a beige trench coat. Between them, they were holding a little boy's hand. The boy was hopping around, clearly happy. Ethan bent down, saying something to him. The boy looked up, smiling brightly. Stella was smiling too. The way she looked at Ethan and the child was so gentle it nearly overflowed. The scene looked exactly like a family of 3 heading out together. Warm, peaceful, whole. Tears flooded my eyes. I took several deep breaths, wiped my tears, stood up, and walked out of the cafe. Ethan. I called his name. All 3 of them turned around at the same time. Ethan's face went instantly pale. His lips started to tremble. Iris, how did you... Stella froze. She looked at me, then at Ethan, panic written all over her face. The little boy tilted his head and looked at me curiously. Auntie, who are you? I crouched down and forced a smile. I'm a friend of your dad's. Then I stood up, looked straight at Ethan, and said, we need to talk. 08. We found a quiet tea house nearby. Stella took the little boy away, leaving just Ethan and me in the private room. Ethan sat across from me, head lowered, unable to say a word. Strangely, I felt calm. I poured myself a cup of tea, took a sip, and spoke first. You don't need to explain. I already know everything. Ethan jerked his head up. Iris, please, listen to me. Listen to what? I cut him off. That you and Stella are soulmates? That Leo is your son, and you had no choice but to take responsibility? Or that you've been lying to me for the past 2 years? His lips trembled. I wasn't lying to you. Weren't you? I let out a cold laugh. Then what exactly have you been doing these 2 years? Spending your days with them and your nights video calling me? Keeping one family going while playing the perfect partner in front of me? Ethan, do you even realize what you've done? I do. Ethan suddenly got emotional. I know I messed up, but I really didn't have a choice. His eyes reddened, his voice cracking. 8 years ago, when Stella and I were together, her parents were completely against it. They thought my family was poor and that I wasn't good enough for her. I'd just graduated back then. I had nothing. They forced us to break up and even threatened to ruin my future. I had no choice but to agree, but I didn't know Stella was already pregnant. Her parents wanted her to get rid of the baby or marry someone else. She refused, ran away from home, and gave birth to the child on her own. I knew none of this. Not until 2 years ago, after her parents passed away. That's when she contacted me and told me about Leo. Ethan looked at me, guilt filling his eyes. Iris, I owe them. Leo is my son. I can't abandon him. But I didn't want to hurt you or Luna either. So you chose to hide it from me? My voice was steady. You thought that wouldn't hurt me? I didn't know what to do. Ethan dropped his head weakly. I wanted to tell you so many times, but I didn't know how. I was afraid you wouldn't accept it. Afraid you'd leave me. So how long were you planning to hide it? I asked quietly. A year? 10 years? A lifetime? Ethan fell silent. I looked at him, a wave of sadness washing over me. This man, I thought I knew him. But in truth, I never did. Wrong 9. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Stella stood at the entrance, looking at us with a complicated expression. Iris, may I come in? I nodded. She walked in and sat down beside me. She looked exhausted, her eyes swollen and red. I'm sorry, she said softly. I really am. I didn't respond, just watched her quietly. Stella took a deep breath. Ethan told me your relationship was stable. He said he would tell you when the time was right. He said you were kind, that you'd understand. I kept waiting, and that wait turned into 2 years. She gave a bitter smile. Now I see it clearly. He never knew how to handle it. He wanted everything and ended up making everyone miserable. I turned to Ethan. You told her our relationship was stable? Then what did you tell me? That you were working yourself to the bone to give me and Luna a better life? Ethan kept his head down, unable to say a word. Stella continued, Iris, I never wanted to destroy what you had. I just wanted Leo to have a complete family. These years, raising him alone has been so hard. He's always asking me why other kids have a dad and he doesn't. Tears slid down her face. I thought about giving up. about taking Leo far away and never contacting Ethan again. But I couldn't. I was selfish. I wanted my child to have a dad. Looking at her, I suddenly felt less hatred. Stella was a victim too, pressured by her parents, toyed with by fate, struggling alone to raise a child. She only wanted to give her son a whole family. The fault wasn't entirely hers, nor was it entirely Ethan's. It was this cruel fate, this tangled past that refused to let go. I stood up and looked at Ethan. I can understand your guilt. I can understand wanting to take responsibility. But have you ever thought about what mattered most between us? Ethan looked up, confusion filling his eyes. Trust, I said softly but firmly. You could have told me the truth. We could have faced it together. But you chose to hide it. You used lies to maintain a fake sense of peace. These past 2 years, I thought you were fighting for our future, when you were really making up for another life. So what am I and Luna to you? I asked. A calculated choice? Or just a cover for running away from responsibility? Tears finally fell from Ethan's eyes. No, Iris. I really do love you and Luna. Love? I laughed, tears spilling out with it. Ethan, loving someone means being honest, not deceiving them. What you did these 2 years isn't love. It's selfishness. You wanted it all, to be a good father and a good partner, but you never stopped to think about how many people you hurt in the process. I took a deep breath. I need time. Time to think. With that, I turned and walked out of the tea house. And after I got home, I cried the entire night. Luna was still at my mom's place. The house felt empty, just me, all alone. I sat on the living room floor, hugging my knees, tears streaming down uncontrollably. What was I supposed to do? Forgive him? Continue this marriage? Or get a divorce and start over with Luna? My mind was a complete mess. I couldn't make a decision. For the next few days, I shut myself inside the house. I didn't answer anyone's calls or reply to any messages. Ethan sent me countless texts and made countless calls. I ignored every single one. I needed time. I needed to think things through. Finally, on the 7th day, I figured it out. Ethan hadn't betrayed the marriage, but he had betrayed my trust. It was true that he hadn't cheated, hadn't lived a wild life. He was simply trying to fulfill his duty as a father, but he maintained all of this with lies. He turned me into part of this deception without my knowledge. A marriage without honesty, no matter how perfect it looks, is nothing but a castle in the air. I picked up my phone and made a video call to Ethan. He answered almost instantly. Iris, you finally responded to me. Ethan, I've thought about this for a long time. I looked at him calmly. I don't blame you for wanting to be a good father, but I can't accept a husband who hides something this important from me. Let's get a divorce. Let's talk it through properly and not embarrass each other. Ethan froze. Iris, you think about it again. I already have. I cut him off. We'll divide the assets according to the law. Luna stays with me. You can visit her regularly. From now on, let's be honest, respect each other, and live our own lives well. He was silent for a long time before finally saying in a low voice, I'm sorry, Iris. This is my fault. I'll do whatever you decide. Okay, I nodded. Then that's it. After hanging up, I let out a long breath. I had made my choice. It was painful, but I didn't regret it. 11. A month later, we finalized the divorce. Ethan gave me the compensation I was entitled to, and Luna's custody was awarded to me. When we walked out of the civil affairs office, the sunlight was so bright it made me squint. I stood at the entrance holding the divorce certificate and suddenly felt much lighter. Ethan stood beside me, hesitating as if he wanted to say something. Treat Leo well, I said, turning to him. And treat Luna well too. What you owe them, you'll have to repay slowly. Ethan's eyes reddened. Iris, don't say it, I smiled. Let's both move forward. Then I turned and walked away. After the divorce, I quit my old job. Using the compensation Ethan gave me, along with my savings from all these years, I opened my own design studio in another city, Chinsign Design. I moved to the new city with Luna and rented a cozy little apartment. Mom, why are we moving? Luna sat on a suitcase and asked curiously. I squatted down and looked into her eyes. Because Mommy wants to give you a better life and become a better version of herself. What about Daddy? Is he not living with us anymore? Daddy has his own things to do. I gently stroked her head. But he still loves you, and he'll come visit you often. Oh. Luna nodded. Then I'll become better too and help Mommy. I smiled and pulled her into my arms. In the first month after the studio opened, I only received 2 small projects. But I wasn't anxious. I knew everything took time. I started learning more design skills, attending industry meetups, and meeting many peers. I also joined a support group for single mothers and met many women who had experiences similar to mine. We encouraged each other, supported one another, shared parenting tips, and talked about everyday life. That's when I realized how many women were holding up their own sky. Some were divorced, some widowed, some single mothers by choice. But none of them were defeated by life. Instead, they were living more and more brilliantly. Their stories gave me strength and reminded me that I wasn't alone. Gradually, the studio got on track. My first major project was designing a new home for a divorced woman. Her last name was Bennett, Laura Bennett. She was in her 40s, divorced for 5 years, raising her son alone. Iris, I want a brand new space, she said firmly. No shadows of the past, only hope for the future. I understood that feeling deeply. I designed a home filled with sunlight and greenery, floor-to-ceiling windows, bright tones, and open layout. Every detail radiated warmth and hope. On the day of the final walkthrough, Laura walked around the house again and again. She finally stopped in front of the window and broke down in tears. Thank you, Iris. She turned to me, eyes brimming with tears. This is the new life I wanted. At that moment, I cried too. I knew I was also designing my own new life. Luna quickly made friends at her new kindergarten. Every day she came home chattering excitedly. Mommy, the teacher said my drawing was really pretty. Mommy, I made a new friend. Her name is Chloe. Mommy, tomorrow is sports day. Can you come? Of course. I pinched her cheek. Mommy will always be there for you. Ethan visited Luna regularly. He was always on time and communicated with me in advance. We were no longer husband and wife, but we could be cooperative parents. Once, Luna asked me, Mommy, do you still hate Daddy? I stroked her head. No. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is moving forward. Then does Mommy still feel sad? Yes. I smiled. But Mommy will slowly get better, because Mommy has Luna. Luna nodded hard. And I have Mommy. Let's keep going together. And Edge. Half a year later, one weekend, I took Luna back to the aquarium. This time, I didn't run away. We bought tickets and walked into the place that had once completely broken me. Mommy, we're finally here to see the dolphins again. Luna bounced with excitement. Yes, I said, holding her hand as we walked inside slowly. The aquarium was still the same, blue lighting, enormous tanks, waves of laughter rising and falling. We stood in the front row by the dolphin show pool, waiting for the performance to begin. Luna tilted her head back, her eyes shining. Mommy, dolphins are amazing! I crouched down and wrapped an arm around her, watching her happy little face, my heart warming. Luna, I said softly, Mommy used to be very scared that I couldn't hold this family together on my own. And now? Luna turned to look at me. Now Mommy understands, I said with a smile. We are each other's light, lighting the road ahead together. Mommy will always stay by your side as you grow up, and you'll watch Mommy become better and better too. Okay? Luna nodded hard. Okay. I love you, Mommy. I love you too. I held her even tighter. A dolphin leapt out of the water, tracing a beautiful arc through the air before crashing back down with a loud splash. The crowd erupted in cheers. Watching those smiling faces and my joyful daughter beside me, I suddenly felt that maybe life wasn't so terrible after all. Yes, life had taught me a painful lesson, but it had also given me a chance to be reborn. I didn't regret what I discovered at the aquarium that day. It was that very moment that let me see the truth clearly and gave me the courage to start over. Now I have my own career, a lovely daughter, and a group of like-minded friends. I no longer depend on anyone else. I've become my own light. A few days ago, my studio received a new project. The client was a young woman in her 20s who walked into my office shyly. "Iris, I want to renovate my small apartment," she said. "I just got divorced and I want a fresh start." Looking at her, I suddenly saw myself from half a year ago. "Don't worry," I said with a smile. "I'll help you design a brand new home, a space that belongs only to you." Her eyes lit up. "Really? Really?" I nodded. "Trust me, life will get better and better." After she left, I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window, looking out at the city. Sunlight spilled over me, warm and gentle. I took out my phone and opened my photo album, stopping at the pictures from that day at the aquarium. In the photo, Luna was smiling brightly. I was holding her and smiling too. I set it as my lock screen. This is my new life, and it's Luna's new beginning as well. We'll keep moving forward, together, getting better with every step.
Thanks for listening to Whispered Women's Stories. This wasn't about losing a husband, it was about gaining herself. She chose truth over pretending and peace over performance. If you've ever outgrown a lie, this story was for you. See you next time. Your story matters.